वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु छायारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु छायारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु छायारूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः।
Namaste and welcome to Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam, or KYG as we all know it. Thank you as always from the bottom of our hearts at KYG that you all grace this occasion and participate, and we all together continue in this blessed and powerful learning of the secrets of the most potent energy in the universe, the Shakti principle. So let us, with humility and reverence, continue in this journey. For those of you who are following this live, you know we have come back to this Devi Khadgamala satsang after a very, very long break. And I hate to repeat myself, but I guess it needs repetition because today's class will explain why that delay happened and what was the purpose and what made the door open again. For that, let us go to the slides. The first slide that you see here, or you're going to see, is about the fourth Avarana, right? Until now, we have studied all of these. We have in all humility, we have kind of got an idea of what this much is. The first square has 3 walls. The first Avarana itself had 3 stages. And then the second circle was the 16 petals. And the third circle had 8 petals. And so we studied them. And then came the 4th Avarana. Now it is different in my own personal practice. It is a different energy when I teach and share. I am learning this because KYG is still very new to both Maya and I. And we are sharing things which are very, very deep and personal in that sense, like perspectives and learning and wisdom. So this kind of sharing that I'm doing comes with deep prayer for the universal wisdom to guide me. Yes, I do read books. Yes, I do refer to internet. Yes, I do listen to scholars on this Devi Khadgamala or the Sri Chakra. And yes, I have taught to teachers. But like I always say, it needs to speak to my heart. And what I am saying as well to you in all of these classes must speak to you in your heart. If your heart feels the connect, if your emotion feels the aha moments as you learn, then you know that doors are opening within you. So when I came to these triangles, and if you see in the altar today, if Maya can give us a glimpse of the altar, the Sri Chakra, we have lit 14, there you go, we have lit 14 lights. We can only light tea lights. We don't light sesame lights anymore except one small one, because we did that in the Hanuman Yagna, and all the walls and everywhere became black at the end of 100 days. So we learned a lesson, at least in US, with all windows and doors closed. It's not possible. And we cannot open the windows or doors right now because just today it snowed and we got about 4 or 5 inches of snow, believe it or not. Nevertheless, you will see that there are 14 triangles. In honor of the 14 triangles, 14 lamps have been lit. So let's come back to the slide. What you're looking here are the triangles. How many are there? There are 14 triangles. So when I came to the 14 triangles in all enthusiasm, and as the energy was flowing, I did one class, I explained about the 14. And then out of nowhere came a stumbling block, if you will. The learning part of me, the flow of energy that was guiding me suddenly stopped. I just couldn't understand why. Now I do, and I'll explain to you. And I mentioned in the last satsang as well that when I didn't know what to do, I went to Devi's temple. We took a week off. Anyway, we wanted to see Maya's parents after a very, very long time. We hadn't seen them. And so we went to meet and be with them for a short while. But I told Maya, we have to go to Adi Kamakshi temple. I need to just sit there, hoping that this door will open because I need to continue this class. This was guided that I should do this. But why is this energy has stopped completely? Nothing happened. Nothing happened with one visit, 2 visits. And then the way I approach these things is you offer it to the universe and let the universe work its way out. We can't force a flower to bloom. I always share those thoughts because I strongly believe in it. I said, okay, this is your subject. So you guide me when you think I am ready. Let me know if I am missing something. That's all I want to know. And I'm ready to rectify that. I'm ready to overcome that. See, all of these spiritual learnings are sadhana. I know in today's world, we say, all right, let's finish Devi Khadgamala, one class after the another. All right, a course is done. What next? Can we do Lalita Sahasranama? Can we do this chant? Can we do that chant? And we go one after the other. That is how we have trained ourselves to do. But Baba didn't train us like that. He would train us very slowly. First, absorb what I'm saying. Otherwise, I'm going to say it again and again and again till you have no choice but to absorb. And so he would prepare us in that sense. So, and therefore, for me, any of these learnings of the last 40 years that I've done has been a sadhana. So it is not how soon you finish, how fast you learn, because I have got enough emails and messages by now with Devi Khadgamala. How do we chant? When do we chant? What is the ritual? Can you please send us a PDF of all the mantras? I know you're teaching it one by one, but we want a whole PDF. The way I teach, I don't want you to jump, put the cart before the horse, if you will, or jump the gun, I don't know those quotes. Is it jump the gun, Maya? Something like that. But you know what I'm talking about. It is every time we talk about these, like right now, you are listening, I'm talking. But what I'm talking is perhaps a resound of what the divine in your heart is guiding me to. So maybe some of you are teaching me and just talking through me. I don't know. But this kind of energy that I truly believe, because this is, who are you? Who am I? We are all part of the one consciousness, right? And therefore, when we learn, we have to learn it in that sense of each class is a sadhana. Right now, when you're teaching, sitting and learning, you're not learning to get somewhere. This learning is your tuning into the divine consciousness and learning it. So let us take time to know each and every. That's why when I began perhaps teaching this as one class after the other, the show must go on, if you will, and that attitude. Then came this block because I had missed something very vital in the very first steps. I didn't know that. And that revelation came to me in bits and pieces, but very powerfully in Kanchipuram, the holiest of cities, I would think, next to Varanasi. It's an amazing city, the oldest city with some of the oldest temples. Nevertheless, long story short, I went to Lakshmi Narasimha temple, a whole different energy of half man, half lion, and he has Mahalakshmi on his lap. Something guided me there. I sat there, we did a little puja, and I was thinking, why this energy when I'm seeking answer from Devi? In our mind, we create differences and distinctions between one god and one goddess and others. But in the divine reality, there is no difference, right? I know it in my heart, but my mind sometimes puts me into that riddle. During that puja, the word Kala Bhairavashtakam out of nowhere came into my mind. The priest in that temple is a hardcore Vishnu devotee. He wouldn't talk any of this. So there was nothing there which would even trigger something like this remotely. In the course of these days of silence from the divine, if you will, I was editing lessons in Varanasi. I said, I cannot waste time. Let me start editing those videos. And I shared them one or two a week with you all. But when this Kala Bhairavashtakam dropped into my lap, I said, there must be something, because I'm sitting in the divine presence, deep in meditation, and there is puja going on. And it was just 3 or 4 of us in the sanctum sanctorum and the pujari. And this huge temple, of course, and huge sanctum sanctorum, and a huge statue of Lakshmi Narasimha, the half man, half lion, majestically sitting, and Mahalakshmi is on his lap. It was a gorgeous sight. I haven't been to such temples before of Narasimha. I very gratefully accepted that because it came out of nowhere. And what I'm going to share with you now is the secret and the connection between Kala Bhairavashtakam, which is what we have already started teaching. And it's a process of the sadhana where you learn these simultaneously. Now, some of you might say, I really don't like dance, I can't move. Doesn't matter. If you really can't do that, then just learn it, listen to the audio and learn that. But the point is, there is an energy, because in this Sri Chakra, in this journey of the Sri Chakra, we're only learning Sri Chakra right now, what each of these petals and triangles mean. And then comes the Devi Khadgamala, which has slokas before you enter Sri Chakra, after you enter, and all of that. We'll cover everything. I promise you that I will teach you the final ritual of how to do this. But if you don't understand these intricate things, then it will become again one more meaningless ritual, which you will lose interest after a while, right? So just be patient and let's go in this journey. Let us do this, because this kind of detailed learning is not available today in the form of books or in the form of YouTube videos or for whatever reason, right? It's not really available. So when I do it, I want to make sure that we leave this legacy behind. People will take it from here and develop on their own. I want you to think on these ideas on your own and develop your own intuition, which will happen. That's how divinity will awaken within. So we will come to these 14 triangles in the next class. There is another very beautiful revelation that comes as part of this 14 triangles. That will come in the following class, where we'll start off with each of these triangles, what do they mean, and so on. But today, I want to share with you one important aspect of the Sri Chakra which we missed. We missed. And therefore, in my heart, it's very clear. That's why I keep saying again and again, this is divinely guided. I'm not saying this for words. It's a truth. And the moment I realized that connection, and then I could feel everything suddenly falling into place. Even in the external circumstances, the moment this happened, because the external circumstances also started coming to a point where we just couldn't do. Some very key people left in Maya's job. Her job took off in a very, very stressful part, and she was put through so many hours, working late into the night and all of that. As it is, the first quarter is very busy for her because she goes into hiring and all of that. But on top of that, there were people missing, and therefore she had to take up all that work. And they said, we don't know if we'll be able to fill it because of all of this going on in the world and all of that. It seemed very bleak. But then once this door opened, then immediately everything cleared. Somebody came, they hired somebody, and then suddenly things went back to exactly as it was. So this is what it is. All our internal, what we experience outside is a manifestation of what is going on within. I so believe in that. When inside you suddenly once again tune in, the divine opens the door and the communication begins, then externally suddenly everything seems to fall in place. So there is no point blaming things outside externally, trying to fix things outside externally. It has to be, wait a minute, I can't handle these things externally. Go within. Go within and ask the divine for guidance. How do I do this? What do I do? Here, this is the situation which seems to be beyond me. You take over. And then begin to listen. Listen. Guidance comes. It never fails. Because divinity is not so far away from you, right? When this Princess Draupadi was being disrobed in public in the king's court, Duryodhana's court, even if you don't know that story in detail, just think of this instance. She was being disrobed publicly, humiliated. She called for Krishna. She said, Krishna from Vrindavan, Vrindavana Vihari, please come and save me. No answer. She was continued to being, the humiliation continued. She said, maybe I called him wrong. Gokula Vihari, from Gokul, please come to me from Gokula. You are always there in the hearts of gopis. Please come to me. No answer. This was the version, the perspective shared by Baba to us. Such a powerful message. Then she realized, what am I doing? He resides in my heart. She says, Hridaya Vihari, come. And then the person who's pulling a sari keeps pulling because the sari is multiplying and she never gets disrobed. We all know, most of us know this story, at least, if not all. What is the point in this story? is the prayer, the right kind of prayer. You pray to God who is in Kailasha somewhere else, or you pray to God who's in Vaikuntha somewhere else, deep in the ocean and all of that. We create a distance between us and God. And when we pray, no answers come. But when we realize that this is within me, the answer comes. For me at this stage, I needed to take that pilgrimage to find that once again, that heart-to-heart connection to Kanchipuram. You could find it in your backyard, in your room. I know that. But there are times I feel that places, environments, these ancient temples, just give it all to you in a platter, if you will. You guys go and sit there, you feel so connected. And there were so many mantras being chanted in those places. Those vibrations lift you of all your insecurities, and suddenly your mind clears. That's why I value temples. I value so much Prashant Nilayam, because that's what happens when you go to an ashram, when you go to a temple. Nevertheless, I miss something vital as we learn, and therefore I need to share that with you. I want you to make that as a part of your understanding. What did I miss? Let's go straight to that. We went to the first Avarana. Let's go back to the first Avarana, the second wall, if you will, of the first Avarana. We had studied the 8 Devis, the 8 Shaktis. What were they? We started with Brahmi. Brahmi was the creative energy. Never mind all the other writings in that yellow thing that you see. We have studied all this. I'm just going back to that slide. Brahmi was creativity, just a gist. And then we went to the next energy, Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi was about, Maheshwari. Maheshwari was about selflessness, right? And then we went to the third one. So you'll see it on the Sri Chakra, how they come in those exact spots. Kaumari, fearlessness. Then comes Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi is about execution, about excellence, about leadership, and so on. And then the 4 outer corners, we start with Varahi. Varahi stands for leadership. And then comes Mahendri. Mahendri is the consort of Indra. As we study in this, Mahendri is a visionary. Right? With vision, all things are made possible. The power of visualization. Then we studied Chamunde. Chamunde is always victorious. And then lastly we studied Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi is about gratitude, about manifestation. Right? These were the 8 we studied. But there is an important aspect to these 8 Devis. Why am I saying this now? Because I just realized it now. Otherwise, it wouldn't let me go. So we have to, when we invoke these Devis, we understand what are these energies. Then all of the Sri Chakra begins to open, not just in a mental state, but in your own life. Because Sri Chakra is what? In your body, in your soul, in your heart, in your emotions, in your thoughts. Every part of you and I are vibrating with the energy of Sri Chakra. So all of these energy principles, these deities, are in us in a dormant form. When we study like this, even sitting like this, you listening, me talking, these energies begin to awaken because we are chanting their name, thinking about them, right? This is not given to us from senses. The mind is reaching out to a dimension which is beyond the senses. We might call it imagination, we might call it visualization, we might call it fantasy. It doesn't matter. The mind begins to reach a dimension that begins to open up. We don't get that learning in regular education. All right, how do we link it now to Kala Bhairava Ashtakam? Bhairava, Kala Bhairava, is the Lord of time. When we worship Kala Bhairava, as we are going to learn in those sessions of dance, we will understand that there are 8 aspects of Kala Bhairava. Not only are there 8 directions like east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest, north, northeast. So the 4 cardinal and the 4 ordinal directions. Not only do we have them as directions, but there are aspects of time and the energy that is derived from each of these directions. And therefore, Bhairava, when he is worshipped, Kala Bhairava as we call him, the time, Bhairava as time, excuse me. Bhairava as time, then he has also 8 aspects. And guess what? Each of those aspects corresponds to each of these Devis. Why? Because in each of those aspects, in each of those directions, these Devis are his Shaktis, his consorts. We miss that. We miss the connection between Kala Bhairava and his Shakti in that stage, right in the very beginning. And therefore our progress went a little bit, but it stopped. So allow me, in all humility and reverence, I want to share that connection between Kala Bhairava and Devi. Because without Shakti, Bhairava is nothing. Without Bhairava, Shakti doesn't even exist. Right? They're both, that is what we will learn eventually in Sri Chakra. Finally, when you go there, you will see Shiva and Shakti merged as one. In fact, there are traditions where they will chant Shiva and Shakti mantra into this. We will explore that if necessary as we go along. This is what happens. So the first element, Brahmi, the first energy of Brahmi, is the consort wife Shakti principle. Let's call her the Shakti. The Shakti of what Bhairava? Asitanga Bhairava. So when we learn the first verse of Bhairava Ashtakam, we are going to face east and do that. Now, if your TV is facing west and you have to learn this, that's fine. But when you want to memorize it, face east and memorize that first verse, because the first verse is dedicated to Asitanga Bhairava, east. The energy comes from the east. This Bhairava, what does Asitanga mean? Asita means dark. Anga is body. Now, dark means what? It is invisible. You can't see him very easily. That's what it means. Don't understand dark as something with night, something with terror and all of that. Because usually the word Bhairava scares people. But no, dark means very difficult to see. He is Asitanga. But he is from the east. So he can rise like the sun in your consciousness. So we worship Asitanga Bhairava when we learn the first verse of Kala Bhairava Ashtakam. But here we have to understand that when we say Brahmi, as we chant these mantras, when we come to Brahmi, not only we connect her to the Siddhis and all that, like that we learned in the previous class, we've got to understand Brahmi is a consort of, she's the one who energizes Asitanga Bhairava. And so when we learn Bhairava, Kala Bhairava Ashtakam as a sadhana, then this becomes easier. When you learn this, you learn that. That is how these learnings are done in a very holistic, powerful, spiritual manner, because ultimately we begin to grow spiritually. What is the vehicle of this Bhairava? It is swan, a white swan. What is the energy of this Bhairava? Creativity. Brahmi is creativity. Energy of Bhairava is creativity. Because east, when east comes, you get fresh ideas first thing in the morning, right? So think of Brahmi and Asitanga Bhairava. So this is an energy of Brahmi. Then comes southeast, right? So the next energy is Maheshwari. Maheshwari is a consort of which Bhairava? Ruru Bhairava. Ruru. Ruru is the second Bhairava. Now this Bhairava energy comes from the southeast. Now if you read internet and anywhere else, if they are mentioned, they will say facing east and facing south. He is not facing southeast. When you face southeast, that energy flows to you. Okay? So let's be very clear on that. When you face east, you are looking at Asitanga Bhairava, who is blessing you from the east. You're looking at his energy, his blessing, his energy, his Shakti is Brahmi that comes to us. So when we do Kala Bhairava Ashtakam, the first verse facing east, then Brahmi comes through Asitanga Bhairava. And that energy of Brahmi brings creativity in us. Now you have to practice it to experience this. There is really no other way. It's faith, Shraddha and Saburi. Faith, perseverance, patience and practice. Abhyasa or sadhana. So, Ruru Bhairava. What is the meaning of Ruru Bhairava? Is antelope. Think of the energy of selflessness. Antelope. When you think of an antelope, the self is very soft and timid. Very gentle. So if somebody tells you Bhairava is very dangerous and all of that, tell them, have you heard of Ruru Bhairava? Who is Ruru Bhairava? He is the antelope type of energy comes from there. Gentle warmth. Gentle. That's why we ideally you would cook facing southeast, because that is the Agni, the warmth comes from there. In Vastu and all that. So I don't want to confuse you with all that. Antelope. Antelope is an energy of selflessness. It's not like a lion. But the energy of Bhairava, so he sits in a bull. Bull here represents steadfastness, like Nandi. Steadfast. Sitting and staring at Shiva, and nothing else bothers him. Nothing can shake him. You see, a bull sits on the road, nothing will shake. So here, bull represents steadfastness, perseverance. Once you get onto this path, nothing should shake you on this path. That is the energy. And what is the energy that comes here? Who is Ruru? Ruru is a divine educator. Anybody who teaches what I have learned from Swami and what I have seen in Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba is you teach selflessly. That energy of teaching will flow through Maheshwari, through you, when it is selfless. In other words, you cannot teach with your hands spread out like this. You cannot teach with your mind thinking, what is in it for me? What am I getting out of this? You have to teach because you're guided to teach. You have to teach because if you have to teach. If you're teaching because it's your nature to teach. Then you enjoy teaching. You expect nothing. That selflessness is what makes us a divine educator. And once the teacher decides to teach, he is completely dedicated, like the bull. He says, okay, I am going to transform you. As I said a couple of days earlier, Baba would hold my hair and said, once I get hold of you, I will not let you go. Even if you want to let go of me, I will not let you go. So that is the Ruru energy. Gentle as an antelope, but steadfast as a bull. Soft words of wisdom, but powerful enough to change who we are. So Ruru Bhairava as the Maheshwari energy flows. When we do this, the second verse facing southeast, we will learn that. So when we do the Bhairava Ashtakam, I'll say this verse we will do facing southeast. Why? You know it in this class. I'll try and make a separate, perhaps edit this again and put it as part of the Kala Bhairava Ashtakam playlist as well. Then comes south. South is Kaumari. People don't face south. They'll always fear as part of Vatsu because they'll say it's Yama, it's death. So we don't want to face south. But south is fearlessness. Because that's what challenges, makes you face the ghost in the closet. Don't be afraid. Be fearless. What is the energy of Kaumari? What is the principle through which Kaumari flows? The Kala Bhairava here is called Chanda Bhairava. Chanda. Asitango Rurus Chanda. The third word. Asitango Rurus Chanda. That is a sloka I will chant in the beginning of every of those Kala Bhairava sloka. It's all the 8 Bhairavas. Chanda Bhairava. Chanda Bhairava is from the south. What is his meaning? Chanda means fierce, passionate, he's hot. He wants to achieve things right away. He's the energy that pushes us, because to be fearless, you have to have that energy, right? So see how holistically we develop our personality. None of these energies are bad. It is all has the right place and the right context in our lives. There are times we have to be fearless. There are times we have to be passionate about what we believe in. There are times we have to be fierce and strong in our approach, right? If you want to break an addiction, you're not going to say, I will slowly try little bit at a time. It'll never go. You have to just say, done, done. I'm done with it. My father-in-law was smoking for perhaps 30, 40 years. When Baba performed a wedding a few years later, he said, you know what? I'm done with this. And just like that, he stopped smoking. I asked him, how did you do that? He said, I don't know. I just felt it. I did it. So you need to have that fierceness to say done. So that comes from this energy. The vehicle here is peacock. Peacock is very beautiful and all that, but have you ever seen anybody hugging a peacock? And no, you can't. It's a very strong beak. It can digest poison, and therefore it kills a snake because it has such powerful acidity. It's a powerful bird. So that bird, peacock, is linked to Kaumari, who is the energy of Kumara. So you see how the link goes between Bhairavi and Bhairava, as generally as we know these two energies. And this Chanda Bhairava instills the energy of confidence and the energy to overcome difficulties. All rivals, the rivals are inside us, right? Things that tell you can't do this, you're too small to do this, you're too old to do this. No, this is all fantasy, this is imagination. You have the energy to overcome that. You need that. So Chanda Bhairava gives you that energy. When you dance facing south and you chant that third verse, then Kaumari comes through him, because she is his consort, she is the Shakti, she comes to you. And thus we will also, when you worship Sri Chakra, you will begin to appreciate this relation between Kaumari and Chanda Bhairava. I hope you liked where we are going, because this is very, very powerful. This was such a powerful aha moment for me. And suddenly everything began to fall in place. I realized what an important aspect I had missed, and I should have done this long time ago. Vaishnavi is the next energy. It's about execution, as we heard, right? What is the Bhairava linked to Vaishnavi? She is now southwest. Southwest is Krodha Bhairava. That energy, Krodha. Krodha means what? What is the meaning of Krodha? Is anger, but constructive anger. Just like that, there is fierceness and fearlessness. Here there is Krodha, constructive anger. Baba would tell us, if you have to be angry, be like Durvasa, because in his anger there was a blessing in his anger, right? So Kopam like Durvasa and Bhakti like Ambarisha, he would say. Some other time we'll explore this more. If you all know these stories of Ambarisha and Durvasa, you will know what I'm talking about. He says, you have devotion like Ambarisha. If you have anger like Durvasa, because Durvasa was known for his anger, and he would curse people at a drop of a hat. But every curse, though it brought about difficulties at that moment, was actually a great divine blessing for that particular soul. And so there is a divine blessing involved in it. So there's this kind of energy that we need. Sometimes we need to be angry about certain things we ourselves do. Why am I so lazy? Come on, get over this. We need to be strict with ourselves, right? Discipline comes out of that healthy anger, if you will. The Vahana, just like peacock, fearlessness and anger go together, south and southwest. So just like the peacock there, because it's Vaishnavi, here it is Garuda. Vaishnavi is Vishnu's energy. So Garuda is again a powerful eagle, right? Garuda is eagle. And therefore that eagle has the very, very high acidity. It can eat, it can kill snakes, it can digest poison just like anything, right? That's why we say Tarksha Mudra. There is a mudra we will learn in the Vayu classes that has the ability for our body to develop powerful immunity that is dedicated to the Garuda principle. Then this energy, therefore, it helps in executing huge tasks. Anything that appears too big for you, oh my God, how do I do this? This is way beyond me. I don't have the money for this, or I don't have the energy to do this. How do I achieve this? Oh wow. Many times we go there and we say, I can't do it, and walk away. But then when you invoke Bhairava from the southwest and say, you guide me in this, and he will open the doors for you to achieve mighty tasks. Anything is possible. A small fisherman became the mighty Saint Peter because of this energy that flowed through him. He was known for his anger and he fearlessness and tremendous faith in Jesus, right? And such you will hear stories of so many siddhas and saints. So this is that energy that Bhairava gives you from the southwest. Krodha Bhairava. So how many we have done now? Asitango Ruruschandha Krodha. Then the next one will come. Because this forms into a sloka. The next one is Varahi. The energy of Devi that we study in the Sri Chakra is Varahi. Varahi is connected to a Bhairava who is now in the west. And that Bhairava is Unmatta Bhairava. Unmatta Bhairava. Unmatta Bhairava. It's a very beautiful word. Unmatta is if you explore the meaning on Sanskrit dictionaries, you will come across words like mad, intoxicated, uncontrolled, and things like that. So I picked up the word intoxicated because that's what Shiva is. He's intoxicated in his self. He's intoxicated in the divine bliss. That Bhairava gives you that energy to taste divine bliss. And that intoxication in turn help you develop the potential for leadership. We'll see how. The vehicle here is the horse. Princes rode the horse. Kings rode horses, right? In the war, you'll see all of the mighty soldiers, the mighty leaders in charge of the battalion or whatever it was, they call it the cohorts of armies that they had those days. They will be in horses. And so horse represents leadership. Horse represents speed, accuracy, and all of that, stamina, grace, all of that. So that energy is the horse. He rides the horse. And he helps control, this Bhairava helps control negative ego. Negative ego is nothing but pride. It brings down unnecessary pride. A leadership quality, one cannot be a leader if they have excessive pride. In other words, negative ego. Pride and negative ego comes from what? A sense of fear. In order to hide their fear, they push themselves, make more sound about who they think they are or who they want to project. Oh, this is me, this is that, this is who. And then keep projecting that because they think that's what makes them leadership. The true leader is fearless. The true leader doesn't have negative ego. Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and all of these are great examples of they had nothing to be afraid, nothing to lose. They had very good self-esteem, and therefore they were great leaders. This energy of Varahi, this energy of Unmatta Bhairava, he intoxicates you in such a way that there is no room for you to feel. That divinity begins to flow into your consciousness. That helps you become a leader. Then you know that there is an energy that's flowing through me. That energy is doing all this, not me. And therefore, when you understand that, there is no place for negative ego. So that is the energy, the direction of West. Then we come to Mahendri. Mahendri is Kapala. Kapala Bhairava. So before we go to Mahendri, what have we learned so far? Asitango Ruruschanda Krodon Matta Bhairavaha. So the sloka goes like that. Asitango Ruruschanda Krodas Asitangoruruschanda Krodonmatta Bhairavaha Kapali Bhishanaschaiva Samharashchashta Bhairavam. So we will come to the next ones. Okay. So we have studied so many now. 5 we have covered. Then Kapali. Kapala. Kapala is Sahasrara. Kapaleshwara temple in Mylapore in Chennai is one of the very, very powerful temples of Shiva. If you do go to India, I know it is in a crowded place, I know it is not in a magical place, but enter that temple and the city disappears into oblivion. The city noise disappears into oblivion. That energy is still as sacred as it was thousands of years ago. And that vision of that Shiva Lingam there is the most amazing darshan you could ever think of having. Kapalishwara. That's a Shiva temple. So Kapala Bhairava. So because we talk of skull, we're talking of visions, because where does the vision form? In your head, right? That creativity, ultimate expansion, the ability to include everyone, the ability to love everyone. Like Swami was all of these Bhairavas in his own beautiful, magnanimous way. When he would just get lost in the bhajans, he was Unmatta Bhairava. When he was taking projects that were so huge and nobody had done it, he was the other Bhairava, the Krodha Bhairava, and all of that. So you can imagine that Bhairava doesn't mean a nasty person or something to be afraid of. If you understand Swami's aspects, Sai Baba's aspects, for example, because many of you are devotees of Sai Baba, and I can relate to that. I noticed that all these energies flow through him. Unfettered. There was nothing to bind these energies. They just kept flowing. So when we worship these, when we meditate on these, when we learn these verses as a sadhana, and be happy that this is all I want to do in my life, and be content with that learning, not saying I'll finish this, then go to the next, and none of that. But when we are content with that, then the doors open. Kapala Bhairava. Kapala Bhairava meaning is skull. Kapala is skull. Elephant. Why elephant? Because elephant has the big skull. Just to give us an idea of what we are talking of, right? Magnanimous. The energy of this Bhairava will help you complete all the unfinished work. All the unfinished work. Anything that you didn't get rewarded for will come to you. Anything that you feel like, oh my God, I did so much and I offered it with all selflessness, but why? All of that will get resolved by divine grace, and that grace comes when we tune into this aspect of Bhairava, Kapala Bhairava, from the northwest, because through him flows Mahendri. She is the consort of Kapala Bhairava. All right. Then Bhishana will come. Chamundi is victorious. Chandi, Chamundi. There is a temple of Chamundi in Mysore, very powerful temple. I have not had the privilege to go there yet. She has not allowed me, even though I spent a month, or not a month, I had 3-4 months in Mysore learning yoga. I just couldn't go near the temple. I don't know. It was just blocked. Like I say, I don't go to temple just for the sake of going. I need that call to come. She didn't allow me. Hopefully that call will come someday. So Chamundi, her energy flows through this Bhairava, Bhishana Bhairava. Bhishana means fearful, fears. That's why Bhishma means the one who everybody is afraid of, because he's so fearful. The vehicle is lion. So lion, you think of a lion, it doesn't really create fear in that sense. It's a positive fear. You say, wow. That fearfulness in this term, you've got to understand as that fear that brings reverence. That's why time is ruthless, right? When you face these elements of time, it humbles you. And all you want to say, oh gosh, this is a powerful moment in my life. I need to be humble. I don't want to fight this. I can't fight it. I just want to revere it. I want to pray. When you do that, then Bhishana Bhairava's grace comes. Chamundi flows through him. It obliterates negativity. That's how these words came to me. It obliterates negativity. There are other meanings to this Bhairava, which is kind of more or less, but I wanted to say he obliterates, completely removes negativity in your life. Whatever form whatever way you perceive negativity, you don't have to philosophize it. Whatever it is, he obliterates. Then you will not see anything negative, anything bad, anything unholy, and therefore you will stop judging. So that's what happens. For that obliteration in our subconscious and unconscious mind, you need a powerful lion-like energy of Bhishana. And when you invoke Bhishana's attention by dancing and facing that particular direction and learning that particular verse, then Chamundi's grace comes to you. And the last one is Mahalakshmi. Now, the eighth Bhairavi, because of religious dogma, you will not find this anywhere on the internet. That Mahalakshmi is linked to Samhara Bhairava. You will say, wait a minute, how can that energy, Mahalakshmi has to be with Vishnu? And this is how we have conditioned our mind. We have caused that. But when I sat in the sanctum sanctorum in Mahalakshmi's presence, the Bhairavashtakam came to me. And I know this from the depths of my heart, that when there is all of these other Bhairavis can be consort, why do we come to the eighth Bhairava and just say, okay, Chandi, put it as Chandi. We can't say Mahalakshmi, nobody will accept it. And therefore, you will find it on the internet or anywhere you look for, they will put it as Chandi. No, Chandi, Chamundi is one energy. It's not out of our convenience. This is how they're all being one. There is always only one. Even in our altar now, you'll see there is a Vishnu Lakshmi next to the Shiva Lingam, because that is a manifestation of that original cosmic principle. You'll see on to your left is Vishnu and to the right is Mahalakshmi. In honor of this great revelation, we got these idols and got them very beautifully blessed in one of the oldest temples, and Mahalakshmi's presence. We put them there and we did a Sahasranama Archana and got it blessed. So in the Varadaraja Perumal temple, one of the oldest and the biggest temples in Kanchipuram, older than even Tirupati and so on. Anyway, the point is that these distinctions have been created by history and all of that. But in true spirituality, in your sadhana, in my sadhana, they all mingle as one. All mingle as one. So Mahalakshmi is the energy that flows when you go facing northeast, Ishana, in that direction, and you do the final dance, you invoke Samhara Bhairava. Samhara is the meaning of Samhara is contraction, dissolution. In other words, he will take your ego, completely allow it to dissolve into him. See, we talked about gratitude, Mahalakshmi. How does gratitude flow? If we are still complaining, yeah, I would be grateful for everything, but I have got this, but I have got that. That is not gratitude at all. It's conditional gratitude or conditional love. Unconditional gratitude is you thank for no reason. For no reason you thank. I know it sounds awkward, but that's the energy that flows. Then you're invoking Mahalakshmi, the goddess of abundance and prosperity, begins to flow into your life. Because you want Samhara Bhairava to dissolve all this negativity. The dog stands for gratitude. There is no better example of an animal. I'm not making this up. This is all part of the scriptures of Ashta Bhairavas. So dog is an example of gratitude. Mahalakshmi stands for gratitude, and with that gratitude comes contentment. Mahalakshmi in abundance comes when you are grateful in your thinking, right? When we say thank you, we are given more opportunities to say thank you. If we say, I will say thank you when I get this, then when you get that, you will not say thank you because you're not trained yourself to say thank you. So when you get that, what will happen? You will say, okay, I got this. Now I want that. Then I will say thank you. That will come. Then you'll say, okay, now I want that. Because that's how you're training your mind only to want, not to say thanks. So when you don't train yourself to say thanks for the little things, how can you say thanks for the bigger things? So start saying thanks, right? That is why when we get up in the morning, we say, Karagre vasate Lakshmi, Karamadhye Saraswati, Karamule Saraswati, Karamadhye tu Govinda, or Karamule Saraswati, Karamadhye Saraswati, Karamule tu Govinda, Prabhate Karadarshana. You're saying, okay, all these energies are in my hand. And you wipe the face. You're saying, bless me. I'm so happy that all these energies are blessing me. A sense of positive radiation comes. So Samhara Bhairava is not out to dissolve you and your life and all your happiness. No. He dissolves this false sense. So the energy actually, like I've mentioned in the last line, it dissolves all the karmas. It dissolves your bondage. Because the ultimate liberation is a matter of grace. There is no technique to get there. All we are doing is practice to earn that grace. When, how that grace will come, it could happen to you tonight, tomorrow. Not that you will die. Just because you're liberated, you'll be enlightened. When that happens, it's a matter of grace. We don't know. But when that grace comes, it dissolves all karma. That means you will be completely detached from all your actions and reactions. You'll identify yourself with the Supreme Bhairava, Samhara Bhairava. So we learned about these 8 Bhairavas. Asitango Ruruschanda, Krodonmatta Bhairavaha, Kapali Bhishanaschaiva, Samharaschashta Bhairavam. So Kapali, Bhishana, Samhara, thus you have 8 Bhairavas. That is what the sloka goes. Asitango Ruruschanda, Asitango Ruruschanda, Krodonmatta Bhairavaha, Kapali Bhishanaschaiva, Samharaschashta Bhairavam. The Ashta Bhairavas are the energy that flows through these Ashta Bhairavas are these 8 Bhairavis. And in my heart, I feel so guided to share this thought that when we invoke this Bhairava and the Bhairavis, the secrets of the Sri Chakra will open and speak to you in your heart. You will know it in your heart. And that wisdom that will flow into your heart will begin to guide you. And you will lead a life of contentment, prosperity, and abundance. And therefore, let us pray to this divine energy of the universe, the Mahashakti, that all these 8 Devis once again awaken within us from the dormancy now that we have understood this aspect or beginning to understand this aspect. And as for many of us who will continue the Kala Bhairavashtakam as a sadhana, we will do that slowly. Again, nothing is time bound and nothing can be achieved in speed. But we're going to do that. But if you can bring Kala Bhairavashtakam as well as Devi Khadgamala into your sadhana, into your practice, and begin to learn both, understand this, understand that, practice that as a sadhana, the energies that open up and will open up, I have no doubt, will be far beyond your wildest imagination. Time itself will begin to grace you and bless you and your family. And that is our prayer. And may this time, this Kala Bhairava and the Ashta Bhairavis who are his consorts, may these energies bless our homes, bless our children, bless the future generations, bless the community and the world at large with peace, prosperity, abundance, and happiness. Let us end this class with just 2 lines of Om Shri Matre Namaha and then Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Thank you as always for watching. Namaste.
ॐ श्री मात्रे नमः। 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 समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। May all the beings in all the worlds be happy. जय बोलो पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। सतगुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। ओम शांति शांति शांति।